Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the disclaimer. That's right, the disclaimer. This American apple pie institution known as parental discretion will cleanse any sense of disgust or horror from the lab that you are about to observe, and it may also absolve you of some crimes. So, if this seems disgusting, that's just anatomy. This may be dangerous, so do not try this at home without supervision, and if you're about to throw up, please pause and go. Thank you. So what are we going to be doing today, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be working on the eyeball. That's right, an eyeball. This is a real eyeball, by the way. No, this is not human. I was not able to get a hold of human eyeballs. I'm just not fast enough to catch the little kids anymore. So I had to settle with sheep. And notice, first thing is that the sheep's eyeball is a little bit different than our own. So take a look at, glare from the glass. All right, I'm doing dangerous. Take my glasses off. Notice the human eyeball, nice and round. Mine is pretty hazel and a round pupil in the middle. When you look at this one, not quite as round. Sheep actually have a rectangular iris, and you can't see it, but there is a nice round pupil in there. This looks different now than it did when the sheep was alive. That is because of the preservative fluids. This was kept in a chemical to keep it from decomposing, but that chemical also changed the color of the cornea. Sorry, not the iris, the color part of the eye, but the clear coat that covers it. Again, looking at my eye, you can see that there is light shining off my eye, right? It is shining off a clear window. So you are seeing a reflection off my eyes. You're actually seeing the screen in front of me, right? Not quite happening on here because of the color change. All right, so without further ado, let's do further. So I have two eyeballs here. I'm going to be cutting one open. I'm going to leave the other one off on the side as kind of a before and after. Wait a minute. I'm not quite right here. That's better. So anyway, I'm going to be cutting one of these open and going to leave the other as kind of a before and after. So let's get started on looking at the actual eyeball itself. Now, we already talked about the cornea. The clear coating is not so clear anymore because of preservative chemicals. However, everything else is kind of the same. We have the white surrounding the eye. That is the sclera. Also, in the back, hard to tell, trying to line this up with the camera, but there seems to be a little bit of angle problem on my end, but if you look right about here, you see a little nub. That nub used to be the optic nerve coming out the back. The company that sold this to us cut it pretty short, so we're not going to see much of that, but this is where the nerve left the eye, on its way to the brain that we dissected last time. Now, notice the tool I go to first are the scissors and not the scalpel, because despite what movies would have us believe, the eyeball is not the soft little water balloon that you think it is, right? No, this is actually really, really tough connective tissue, really hard to pop. And between being round, being tough, and also being a little wet from preservative fluids, this is actually, also Butterfingers, this is actually pretty dangerous. I'm likely to just slip and cut myself. So we're going to start off slow and steady. Well, I will be. You'll probably be watching at high speed. The first cut I'm going to make is going around the iris. I'm going to try to preserve the iris so we can see it from the other side. But remember, there is a water-filled sac inside of there called the aqueous humor. I'm going to attempt to not pop that aqueous humor. Spoilers, I'll probably pop it. So guys, something to notice right now is I thought I was making headway in here, but it turns out I was cutting a layer of connective tissue on top of the sclera. Now that layer of connective tissue is what holds the intrinsic muscle is what holds the intrinsic muscles on. The muscles that make your eyes go left and right, up and down, around in circles, right? This is the connective tissue that holds it in place. So the muscles were removed, but the connective tissue is still there. So now that I'm through that, I can start cutting the sclera. All right, so some of you may have noticed a few drops of water, liquid dropped out while I was cutting. That's because I may have cut a little too far back and cut on the other side of the iris, too far on the other side of the iris. And we got what we know as the vitreous humor, not the aqueous humor, which is in the front of the eye. This is called the vitreous humor. That fills up this hollow cavity. And now without it, yeah, it's dripping a bit. That's liquid from the vitreous humor. That keeps this eye from being all bendy and wobbly, right? The water pressure of this, it's actually more of a gel pressure, keeps the eye nice and round. That way, as the light goes in the back, we have the retina, which fell. We can see that I can try to put this back up. It's like a wallpaper. And it holds the nerves in place. There are all those rods and cones that allow you to see shape and color. And it fell, bringing the rods and cones with it. And now this sheep, if this was still inside the sheep's head, would not be able to see, at least not really well at all, because its nerves are no longer in the right spot. But its brain would still be registering if they were, and all the information would be confused. We'll come back to this, but let's take a look at the front. Again, we have the corona covering the iris and the pupil, and under that is the popped remains of the vitreous humor. So I'm going to try to remove that just by pulling it gently. Is not coming off gently because of this round thing here, that is the lens. Remember, the lens, as the light comes into your pupil, this lens on the back refracts the light into the back of the eye, helping you focus. And this, just like your glasses, will have different shapes, different bends in your glasses. It's called a prescription. This can bend and change its prescription so that you can see things in different focus. You can focus on things up close or focus on things far away. So I'm going to try to pop this out with the vitreous humor. There we go. All right. And that's what we got. That is our lens. There would be muscles on all around pulling on it to change the bend, to change the way the light refracts. Let's take a closer look. Now you can see that it's empty on the other side. You can see actually light coming through, so it doesn't look quite as dark. And you can see that that pupil is also not quite as round as a human's. Take a look on the other side, and you can almost see through it. Again, it's been a little opaque because of the preservative chemicals. Let's see if I can get this into my camera. But you can see my glove. You can see my glove kind of moving in the background. My blue glove. So congratulations, you guys are all looking through the eyes of a sheep. How weird is that? There's black stuff surrounding it. That's the iris, the colored part of your eye. Now you can't really see it. It's not coming out, I don't think, coming in clear on the screen, but it's actually a bunch of individual muscles stemming out from the center, coming outward, right, in every direction. So when this muscles contract, it's going to pull or kind of make the pupil bigger to let more light in. And if it relaxes, it'll make the pupil smaller to let less light in. Adjustment for how bright or dark it is outside. So let's take a look at this lens now. This lens, I actually am going to use the scalpel, and this is actually just as dangerous, but it's actually more dangerous to use the scissors because I'll probably end up shooting across the room and not find it ever again. So I'm going to try to be very careful. I'm going to have to change my angle of sitting. And I'm going to try to slice this down the middle. All good. All right. And not sure if it's coming in clear on the camera, but you may be able to tell that this is not one solid round piece, but many, many layers, like an onion. Maybe if I keep moving it in the light, you can see the different layers in there. Maybe if I crush it up a bit, you can actually start see how I can peel it apart. Again, I can peel different layers off of it because it's shaped more like an onion than a marble. Right? And the reason for that is when the muscles pull on it, the different layers move past each other so that it can change its shape and then change the prescription of the light going through. You actually focus on things that are up close and everything far away gets blurry. Or you can focus on something far away and everything up close gets blurry. So all those layers help with the changing of your focus. Now, taking a look at the back, we've already discussed the retina. That, oh, losing my grip here. It's all wet still. The retina here, put it down. I'm going to try to remove that. And right here, you can see it's holding on tight. It's not letting go on this one spot right there. And that's because that is where the optic nerves leave the back of the eye. So again, right where I'm pointing, that is the exit, which means there's a hole in the back of your eye, so you don't actually have rods and cones in this spot. Technically, you have a blind spot. You have a place where you don't actually see. Luckily for you, your brain fills in the gap and tells you that there's an image there when there isn't. If your brain didn't fill that gap in, then you would actually see a blank spot in your field of vision everywhere you looked. So thank you, brain. Since I can't quite remove that, I'm just going to kind of shift it off to the side. And I want you guys to take a look at one more thing. That really pretty blue in the back. No, you don't have that, unfortunately. This is not the reason for blue eyes. The reason for blue eyes is actually a mutation. This dark color is melanin, right? The same chemical that gives your skin its color. So your eyes are supposed to be brown, just like skin tones. However, there are mutations that change the color. Blue eyes is actually a deeper mutation than that. Instead of having a different color, it's actually lack of color, right? If every person actually has blue underneath the brown or whatever color you have. And if you were to scrape away all the brown from the other side, then you would start revealing the color blue. If you're born with blue eyes, it means you didn't have the brown on top to scrape off. So you are missing a layer of color. This blue does not appear in humans. This appears in sheep and other animals may have blue or green or some really bright shade of color. Now, I'm going to give you guys a chance to think about this. Open-ended question popping up soon. Why do you think there's a bright color in the back of this eye? All right, welcome back. So No, I'm not going to count that right or wrong because I probably didn't at the time of filming this. I don't know if I taught this to you or not. So why is this a uh, a bright color? Is because as the light comes in, oops, put the eye back on. As the light comes in and shines on the back, that bright color makes all the light reflect nice and bright, and it gives the sheep the ability to see better at night. You've probably seen this with your dog or your cat at night. The light shines off their eyes a nice bright color, but it doesn't happen for humans. If you take a picture of your dog or cat with a flash on your camera, you get the bright color eyes of your dog or cat. But when you do it to humans, you don't. With humans, you usually get a red color, and that's because we're reflecting blood vessels in our eyes. Dogs and cats and sheep are reflecting this layer in the back. That is going to help them with seeing better at night. Our species never really cared much for seeing at night. We like to sleep at night, so we never developed that. All right, one last thing, guys. I'm going to attempt to cut around where the optic nerve leaves and see if I can find the optic nerve in the back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, yet again, I am suffering from not knowing how well this is coming out on camera. However, I have managed to find the optic nerve. So bring around here is where the retina is going. You can see some of it remaining still. Right? And then as it exits the back of the eye, we can follow the optic nerve right there. Hopefully that is coming out clear for you guys. This is the nerve that would leave the back of the eye and then head to the brain and tell your occipital lobes what you're seeing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that is it for the eye dissection. Now, same thing I said last time about the brain dissection. When it is safe to come back into school, if you want to do this yourself, then just ask. I'm sure I will have plenty to spare. So we'll set something up after school and work on it. If you're a senior and you've already graduated by then, come visit. All right. Well, I mean, I would love to have you in class. All right. So open invitation for you to come and do this yourself. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in class next time.